Welcome to Views from a Christian Conservative. I'm your host, Bob Moss. This is my first official podcast of the Bob Moss Show. The format going forward for this podcast is voicing a Christian conservative viewpoint on daily topics, but this being the first, I thought it needs to be a special podcast. Set me as a seal upon your heart, as a seal upon your arm, for love is as strong as death. The following is a heartbreaking, gut-wrenching, painful podcast. In February of this year, my sister and brother-in-law lost their son, Jacob, unexpectedly, swiftly, and tragically. It was dreadful and devastating news. The kind of news that makes you numb for a few seconds, because you cannot comprehend what you're being told. You are in disbelief and want to slap yourself to wake up from the nightmarish news you just received. Jacob, dead at the age of 25. My sister was the first and last to see Jacob alive. She gave birth to Jacob and had the horrific, nightmarish, life-changing shock of finding him lifeless on his couch one morning in February 2021. I sat in the church at the funeral and I watched the bodies of my sister and brother-in-law sag and convulse uncontrollably from the physical and mental toll of grief. I heard the sobbing, animalistic sounds coming forth from parents, sister, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, and friends. I cried, and all those around me cried, but I still would not understand the depth of grief of a mother and a father. I can think I understand, but I do not and cannot. I pray to the good Lord that I will never know that pain, for I may not know how to survive it. What do you say to those who have lost all? What do you say when the future has been snatched away without warning? There will be no birthdays, Christmas, Easter, breakfast, lunch, supper, wedding day, birth of grandbabies, and special days celebrated with Jacob anymore. We are left with memories, pictures, videos, and nothing else. I can only bend a knee to the Lord and ask for guidance in my actions, words, and deeds towards others at this trying time. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalms 34. Jacob was a unique soul who sometimes marched to a different tune, but somehow knew at a young age what mattered most in life was the relationships you made and kept along the journey. Jacob's wake was 4 hours long, and the line of family and friends was always out the main door into the parking lot. The hours passed with moments ranging from soul-sobbing grief, anger, disbelief, and laughter, and celebrating the all too fleeting moments of his life. Jacob did not adapt well to learning in the academia world that most of us identify as learning. Jacob did not relish the world of books. Jacob learned by touch, feel, and an adrenaline rush from living life, not from words in a book. He will not be remembered by a degree earned, but he will be remembered on a skateboard, snowmobile, snowboard, motorcycle, or just being the friend someone needed. If you were going to spontaneously, without 1 second of warning, go on an adventure, you would need to look no further than Jacob for a companion. To Jake, life was to be lived, not to be read about. Jacob, as a teenager, loved to roam with friends to the city of Dubuque on his skateboard and going to the skate park to perform difficult stunts on the park's ramps. One of the many passions of Jacob's was snowboarding, in which he excelled, winning many medals against stiff competition. Jake loved living and later visiting his sister Brittany in Colorado, and had a salesman's touch in encouraging the sometimes timid Brittany into engaging in adventures she would normally not consider. Jacob had a way of communicating that the tricks and stunts he performed so easily could be done by anyone willing to risk trying. His many trips to the hospital for broken bones could attest that it could be done, but not by everyone, or anyone less talented. I saw firsthand the kindness of Jacob when he visited my father and mother, and his grandma and grandpa. He would just stop to see if they needed any help or anything from the store. This was a son that communicated with his parents daily. How many of us can say that? Sad to say, I cannot. When was the last time you called your parents? Jacob put me to shame in showing, not just talking, about the way in communicating with your elders. I sat at the wake and lunch after the funeral and listened to his friends and family talk about Jacob. I admit I did not know all aspects of Jacob's personality. I saw the kindness and friendliness during family encounters, but that does not always translate over into our friendships. I heard women and men, boys and girls if you will, recount stories of Jacob seeking out and friending the less fortunate and social outcasts. I heard how he would spend time with the social outcasts and treat them as one of his inner circle. I heard how he would mingle with the well-off financially, rebels, and the more criminally inclined, and could relate to each group without missing a beat. I heard how he was devoted to and loved his mother, father, and sister. At 25, it's unusual to leave this kind of legacy. I laughed often as I saw Jacob manipulate Bill into footing the bill so he would not have to spend his own money. I laughed when he joked around with his mother. I laughed as I saw him dance and pull pranks on his family and friends. I laughed as I heard he would turn down the air conditioner or furnace to save money when he purchased his house. Sometimes now, I cry. I'm happy that he spent so much time with his family, whether it was on a vacation, gutting his home, and remodeling with Bill and Kathy. I'm happy they had so many memories to choose from and relish. At 25 or 85, not all of us will leave this earth, reaching the heights of Jacob's accomplishments. He was not a lawyer, doctor, social influencer, or a millionaire, but he was a son, brother, grandson, nephew, cousin, friend, and so much more. Not all doctors, lawyers, or millionaires can say they were a friend of many, as Jake could. He will be remembered until our last breath, and we will speak of him often, and as if he is suddenly going to walk through the front door. It's difficult not to be angry with God. The question of why will haunt us until we leave this earth. It reminds me of the story of Mary and Martha. Then Jesus said to them plainly, Lazarus is dead, and I am glad for your sakes that I was not there, that you may believe. Nevertheless, let us go to him. And many of the Jews had joined the women around Martha and Mary to comfort them concerning their brother. Now Martha, as soon as she heard that Jesus was coming, went and met him. But Mary was sitting in the house. Now Martha said to Jesus, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now I know that whatever you ask of God, God will give you. Jesus said to her, Your brother will rise again. Martha said to him, I know that he will rise again in the resurrection and at the last day. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and life. He who believes in me, though he may die, he shall live. And whoever lives and believes in me shall never die. Do you believe this? She said to him, Yes, Lord. I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, who is to come into the world. And when she had said these things, she went her way and secretly called Mary her sister, saying, The teacher has come and is calling for you. As soon as she heard that, she arose quickly and came to him. Now Jesus had not yet come into the town, but was in a place where Martha met him. Then the Jews who were with her in the house, and comforting her, when they saw that Mary rose quickly and went out, followed her, saying, "She is going to the tomb to weep there." Then when Mary came where Jesus was, and saw him, she fell down at his feet, saying to him, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." Do you see a hint of anger in Mary? Mary did not react like Martha. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went out to meet Jesus on the road. I can almost envision her running down the road to meet Jesus for guidance and comfort. Mary, on the other hand, was locked in her room, grieving and weeping at the loss of her brother. These are two examples of response to death. We lock ourselves up physically, mentally, and emotionally like Mary, or we can also be like Martha, who goes out and meets the Lord and asks for guidance. Both are legitimate reactions to death. It's an easy answer to say we should all respond like Martha and run toward Jesus. We know that it is not always easy to get past our anger toward loss of a loved one. I believe Mary overcame her anger because she fell at his feet. You don't fall at somebody's feet unless you surrender to their authority. Come unto me, all ye that are labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11. I ask you, what greater burden is there than grief? What are you going to do with it? Are you going to grow into a bitter, angry, and unresponsive to life and those around you? Who are you going to lay it upon? For we are all destined for the grave. The question is, did you ever truly live? And what did you live for? Jacob lived and died. The Bible states that our days are numbered, and only God knows when that day arrives for each of us. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. Psalm 139. Yet you do not know what tomorrow will bring. What is your life? For you are a mist that appears for a little time and then vanishes. Show me, Lord, my life's end and the number of my days. Let me know how fleeting my life is. You have made me, my days, a mere handbreadth. The span of my years is as nothing before you. Everyone is but a breath, even those who seem secure. Surely everyone goes around like a mere phantom. In vain they rush about, heaping up wealth, without knowing whose it will finally be. But now, Lord, what do I look for? My hope is in you. That leads me to ask, where is your hope? Do you think, as some do, that often once you die, you go into the ground and that's it? Do you believe that you will come back as something else reincarnated? A bird, a worm, or a millionaire's child? Do you believe your good works will buy your way into heaven? Do you believe in heaven and hell? Where does your hope lie? My hope is in the Lord, for his word tells me, he will wipe away every tear from my eyes, and death shall be no more. Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain any more, for the former things have passed away. Revelation 21. John 10. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. I give them eternal life, and they will never perish, and no one will snatch them out of my hand. John 6. For this is the will of my Father, that everyone who looks on the Son and believes in him should have eternal life, and I will raise him up on the last day. John 3:16, which everyone knows and hears at sporting events, concerts, signs, and people in the stands. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have eternal life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but in order that the world might be saved through him. John 6. Truly, truly, I say to you, whoever believes has eternal life. There is one question we all need to answer. Who is Jesus? Is he a good teacher, prophet, or lunatic that thought he was God? Or is he the Son of the living God? I choose to believe Son of the living God. How about you? Until next time, God bless you and yours. This is your host, Bob Moss.